Hey, anybody out there listening to me today? I never know who I'm talking to, and honestly, I make these videos, just when I feel called, when I feel like, honestly, it's pretty much like a personal journal. Whether, I'm writing a post or whether I'm making a video, at the end of the day, it's for anybody who wants to take from it whatever they need, but I do like to reflect on my situations by either writing them or speaking about them. That gives me the ability to break them down a little bit more, understand them, give them some context, and really look into what's going on beyond the issue. So, for me at this moment, I had an incident happen today in a store. I am mass exempt. The video I'm making right now is not to get into the details about my exemption and my choices over masks. What I really want to shine a light on is the ways that people interact with each other over this mask issue. So, being in a store today with my daughter, we took a couple minutes out together to have some one on one time. I usually don't take my kids. I think this was the first time I took my daughter shopping. We went one other time as a family, and so this was the first time I had taken my daughter into a store since the mask mandate. Um, so being in the store, no mask, and didn't really have much problem with people working there or anybody in particular until I was getting ready to leave and pay for my things, and a man, older gentleman, walked past me and abruptly asked me, did you see the sign on the door that states you're supposed to wear a mask? And I said, yes, I did, and I have a mask exemption. And I guess I could immediately tell from body language and tone that this gentleman wanted to, voice his concerns over me not wearing a mask. And that's fine. Have always been prepared to have these types of conversations. This is actually the first time I've had to, but I know that I grow from every time encounter a person that I have to speak to that might want to ask me about why I'm not wearing a mask or to voice their concerns over it. So, we all have that ability to speak to each other and ask questions, to bring awareness to ourselves. And so I am of a strong belief that this is something that, excuse me, I thought I had an interruption, someone pulling in my driveway, but I don't. Um, so, squirrel, it happens to me all the time, but I can bring it back. Okay. The main reason I wanted to make this video was to draw in some light over how this incident took place. So, like I said, the gentleman asked me, and when I stated that I have a mask exemption, he screamed at me bullshit. He said, I can't remember exactly everything he said, but I do remember that, coming out bullshit. He didn't really, I guess, proceed to ask me, but he did immediately start to get a little bit upset about it. It's really hard to recount, what was said and how it was said, but I can recount the feeling I had. So the feeling I had at that moment was this person wanted to state why he felt, what his concern was over me not wearing a mask. And I was perfectly ready and willing to talk to him. I said, I would love to, explain to you why I'm not wearing a mask, but he wouldn't really let me, have any space to express myself. He was taking the space for himself to, to say things to me like, it makes no sense, or, like you shouldn't even be allowed out. You must be able to have people that can shop for you. Or, he had many different little reasons, but the thing was, when I would try to say to him, I said to him compassionately, I can understand that you have some feelings over, the fact that I'm not wearing a mask, and I would love to talk to you about that. But I need you to know that when I talk to somebody, I need to do so on a level that is, I don't remember the way I worded it, but I just need to be able to talk to somebody on a normal level. So, I actually invited this person to say, I can see that you're very upset over this, and I would love to work this out in some manner. But I'm gonna need you to calm down, or I don't say calm down. Anyways, I just my feeling was I would like to talk to you, but can we do this in a different way? He didn't really seem receptive to that, and at this point, I did have my daughter with. She really didn't know what was going on. But the people around me seemed to be kind of intimidated. So I did have some, very nice people. One woman was, took my daughter aside, distracted her, showed her some things, while an employee actually called for security because of the way this man was acting towards me. Nobody else in the store seemed to have a big issue, but they were, I guess, concerned over, a woman standing in the store with her 3-year-old daughter and having this man talk to me in this way. So he did actually leave the store for a moment, and you kind of have that flight of emotions come up. So although I felt like, I was keeping myself really calm with this gentleman, as soon as he left, it was kind of the heat of the situation. It did make me feel a little teary-eyed, especially the woman saying to me, like, "Are you okay?" Like she was generally concerned. Um, over what had just taken place. And then, of course, this man came back in with a camera, taking pictures or a video or whatever he needed to make himself, feel better about the situation. I don't know. But so again, it was him seeing now that he was causing the situation, and people were even pointing out, like, don't you realize this woman has her child with her, and you're causing a scene. And so he had his own, internal dialogue that was causing him to want to voice his concerns to me. And obviously, the dialogue that he has within himself is he's very passionate. Without being able to have a good conversation with this man, I don't know what was the main reason for him, wanting uh, to talk to me. I mean, from what he was saying, he, he told me he was very adamant, keep your distance from me. And of course, like, I do keep my distance. If anything, I am mass exempt, but people don't give me the space if they're that concerned, right? Like, nobody, I'm trying to keep my distance from people, and people just walk in my path. So, and anything else I can say, most people that I talk to about the mask issue, when they're wearing one, are pretty understanding, and sometimes people are even not applauding, but just saying, like, okay, good for you. You can do what what your heart is telling you. Some people can't. So back to the reason I made this video, is I'm looking back at the situation, and a lot of times, well, not a lot of times, but lately, a couple of interactions that have not had to do with masks have gotten a little heated, to the point where I felt the way that I was voicing my side, or my, or handling myself, was coming from a triggered state where I was taking things a little bit too far myself. So in fact, I can completely resonate where this man's coming from, because when I was feeling triggered over situations with other people lately, I was, doing the same thing, flying off the handle a little bit, and seeing things only from my perspective, perhaps, or whatever is what was going on within my own story. It was able to help me at least resonate with understanding where this man was coming from. And the fact that my other interactions as of late have led me to feel that such heightened emotion of, like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I actually question myself, like, am I going to be able to control myself if I have to stand up for myself over this mask issue? It was actually a little bit of something in the back of my mind, like, I mean, because there are 2 times where I was asked to leave a store for not wearing a mask, and I politely said okay, and I just left. Because at in those little moments, those actual 2 other situations, well, first of all, I had a choice. I have a choice to stand there and talk to that person and try to work it out, or I have a choice of just saying, no, I'll go shop somewhere else. And I just weigh my situations out. Those other incidences where I was going in for things, I just said, you know what? I just don't need it. And I do that lately, I don't go a lot of places because I am mass exempt, and it's not looked upon very good, even though our own government says there's an exemption. So how do you, I even told this man, like, how do you think it feels to be mass exempt and to have to go shopping with your child, right? And to carry around that baggage, because I have my own opinions. I don't go out and spread out all my opinions to anybody, who's not willing. I reserve myself and the way I feel for those who want to have a conversation about it. Of course, I went through the motions of voicing myself here on Facebook, and, all the ways that we do, present ourselves have um, they have some value to them. So, we express ourselves and we go, oh, did I like that way I expressed myself? Did I, did that feel good? Did it not feel good? And you look back, you can adjust yourself and learn from the ways that you might have handled yourself in a way that looking back you go, oh, I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't have said or did that. You know? I ask my kids every day. Not every day, but I ask my kids when they get frustrated because they're having problems learning something. I say, "Well, how long did it take you to learn to walk? How long did it take you to learn to talk, write, read? We can't just do things in one day. And when we make a mistake, that's a mistake. I'd like to meet any person who's never made a mistake in their life. You know? Kids, like this is the biggest lesson I'm learning as a parent. The only way my kids are going to learn is to do it themselves. And that involves making mistakes. Because I'll tell you, the biggest lessons you learn come from your mistakes. Those are the golden nuggets. You could look at yourself and go, oh, I screwed up so bad. I did this and I did that wrong and that wrong. Oh, I'm just a horrible person. I should not even bother. I shouldn't even try. Or you can be that person that says, okay, that got messed up, or I handled myself that way, or this happened. But that right there, recognizing, giving light to something that's going on with yourself is the first step. The second step is doing something about it. And it might not be an overnight fix. It might not be like, oh, I yell at people when I get angry, so I'm just never going to yell at people ever again. No, I wish there was a little switch, but it's like a lot of things in our life. The best rewards come from, putting that effort in. It's not about the massive effort, it's about the effort itself. So that kind of went off a little bit from the main message that I was pointing at, but coming back, I guess, to the reasons for making this video and what transpired here today. It's just a reminder that yes, we are all entitled to our opinions. But how do you think it affects our learning experience when someone comes down on another individual in a way that doesn't allow them to be met halfway? So I'm actually willing to learn and understand about the way people feel about the mask issue, because I have my own beliefs and understanding, but I have made that understanding based on the interactions and conversations I have with other individuals. Nothing that I have in my mind is set in stone. Beliefs, questions, all of that stuff. We're all here just going with the best intent that we have out of the information that we know. So for me, I actually said to this man when he left, I said, I really hope that you can go home from this experience and gain something from it, because I'm gaining from it. I didn't get a chance to tell him what I was gaining from it, but I'll tell you, I walked away from that experience so much differently than I walked away from some that have happened to me recently. In the other situations, I felt like I said, triggered, like I needed to, really put up a big wall and stand up for myself, and I'm not going to let anybody treat me that way. And today, of course, I didn't want that man to treat me that way either, especially in front of my daughter. And I know that was the concern of the people around me, was like, oh no, and her daughter was with, and possibly could even be judgments like, oh, how could she just take her daughter shopping with no mask and have that happen and blah, blah, blah. Well, guess what? What did I just say? We all learn from all of our experiences. And you know what? My daughter learned a valuable one today, whether or not she even knows what the heck even happened, because to her, she just all she saw was that a man was talking to me and some nice people came along and they did some really nice things with her, and someone actually bought her a stuffed animal because he felt bad, I guess. But it really made her day. And you know what really made my day? was seeing those other people that were actually willing to help me. One woman who was in tears when she had made, I think she's more the reason why I got a little bit in tears, because she was so affected by the situation. And that, I could see in her heart, she wanted to give me a hug. She even opened up her arms like she wanted to give me a hug. But I understood her and I respected her, and she did this. She just gave me a little elbow bump. Is enough to say, like, I hear you and I see you. And I could even tell that it was a little bit hard for her because, she also maybe has still had that fear as well over this issue, but she still saw me as a person. And that's all that I ask from anybody else, is treat people like they're people. The government puts out the information that leads to, the understanding that some of us have. And I know that sometimes the message is that people who don't wear masks are selfish and greedy and self-entitled and whatever. They don't always say it that way, but let's be honest, it's viewed upon that way. When if anybody would actually take the time to stop and ask, why is it you don't want to wear a mask? Well, first of all, like I said, I'm exempt. But even if there was an exemption, I can be honest and say that I still wouldn't wear one, and I would fight against the fact about wearing one. Now, this video isn't obviously about all my reasons about that, because I've, stuck my neck out and tried to show people why I feel that way before, and it doesn't come out because people are not asking for it. When you give information when somebody's not asking for it, do you think they're receptive to it? Not really. So what I'm saying then is, if you are receptive to understanding why a person doesn't want to wear one, or is thinking that there is possibly things going on in the world that are corrupt and whatever all these narratives are, why can't we just come to a way that we can work this out? Like, couldn't that gentleman have come to me and say, did you not see that mask? Okay, mask sign. Okay, well, no, I didn't. And then I tell him my side. Well, maybe he could say, whatever was really brewing inside him, but in a different way, it might have actually got through to me. But instead, I mean, of course, I have no idea. He didn't tell me. He just voiced, all of these reasons why he thinks I was a bad person. And, but I couldn't really learn from that experience. But I tell you, I could learn from an experience if somebody would stop and just treat me like a real person, like I treat everybody else like a real person. So, to each their own. Like I said, I really hope that man, he maybe go home and he'll be so proud of himself. Oh, I took down that anti-masker and whatever. Or maybe he goes home and says, oh shit, I fucked up. Maybe it doesn't bug him at all. But what I am taking from the experience is where the gold is. So I can go from this experience and say, you know what? I feel really defeated. I feel really bad. I feel like, oh my God, this is horrible that happened to me. But I'm not. I feel so strong. I feel like, wow, that was the first time I handled myself against somebody, and I did it in the way that I envisioned that I would. With compassion and understanding and respect. And I also took away from the situation knowing that, my daughter might or may not have gained anything from the situation, but in my mind, I like to think that energetically, she did see that we can all stand up for ourselves. We can all voice our opinions, and we can do so in a way that shows love and respect regardless of our opinion. So, that's part of the reason why I don't wear a mask, to be honest, is to show my kids that when you do have a reason inside you that tells you you need to question or go, or do something that you think is, a certain way, that you stand up for yourself. But of course, you don't do it in a way that is just like my way or the highway. But you do it in a way to say, you know what? I have to give some power to myself in what I'm resonating with, but also, respect that there are going to be other ways or opinions, and the only way we're going to grow or expand from any of it is, to go through these experiences in a way that we can gain and not lose. So I didn't really know what I was going to say, for this. That's kind of how it goes. Sometimes I start writing, sometimes I start speaking, and now this was a way for me to work out what happened today and to take from it instead of feeling like something was taken from me. So I hope that was helpful. If it was, then great. If not, that's okay. If you have anything you want to mention or ask or say to me, I'm always open. So, send me a message, whether you know me very well or not. I am definitely an open book and here to help myself and help others. So, yeah, thank you. Take care.